Hi, everybody. I'm Roy Firestone. I've always thought that singer, songwriter, musician, Grammy nominee, Juno Award winner, and now Canadian Songwriter Hall of Famer, Gino Vannelli has been one of the greatest talents in pop music. Gino's been an enormously successful artist for more than 50 years with major hits like I Just Want to Stop, Living Inside Myself, The Wheels of Life, Black Cars, People Gotta Move, and many more chart hits. He is currently on tour with an upcoming performance at the Saban Theater October 30th in Beverly Hills. Gino has written and produced hundreds of songs and released about 24 great albums, the newest one called The Life I Got to My Most Beloved. It's dedicated to his late wife of nearly 50 years, Trisha. Gino's shows are legendary because of his enormous energy and otherworldly voice. So today we're going to talk about his inspiring artistic journey and his emotional and deeply personal new album, remembering the love of his life, Trisha, who tragically passed away from cancer last April. Gino Vannelli joins us now. Gino, it's a great pleasure, a sincere, great pleasure for me. I've always wanted to interview you. It's been about 40 years since I decided I want to do this, but never too late, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. There's so much to talk about, and the brand new record is unbelievable. I think it's your best work. I really do. And I'm a fan, and I know
Thank you.
all the albums over the years. But we're going to go back in time a little bit before we
Okay.
talk about that. I want to talk about the young Gino
Okay.
and the family growing up in Montreal. There was a lot of music in the house with your father was a band leader. You had two brothers who were very musical and remain so today. We have a picture of the early years. Uh, I don't know if that's your dad in this picture or not.
No, it's Charlie Ventura and Gene Krupa. Charlie Ventura was a jazz saxophone player, and of course Gene Krupa was the
Oh
lead.
my goodness, Gene Krupa, and you were a drummer. We have another picture
Yeah,
of you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that
I
was
mean,
the guy who started it
people,
all.
people talk about you can play the guitar, keyboard, sing, but they don't know you started as a drummer.
Yeah, yeah. I was madly in love with the Traps, and I started playing in relief bands at that club that Gene Krupa was playing at when I was 10, and that's why I was there because I was in the relief band.
Wow. And your father was a band leader too. There was a lot,
Well, my
I'm sure
father
there
was
was
a big band singer.
big band singer.
Yes.
So there's probably a lot of Sinatra in the house and things like that, right?
Well, there was everything. I mean, Roy, I mean, the house was 24/7 music. If it wasn't opera, it was classical. If it wasn't classical, it was Latin American cha-chas, merengues, sambas, Brazilian music. If it wasn't that, it was Coltrane or Miles Davis playing,
Oh
or Duke
man.
Ellington or Count Basie. I mean, the house is full of very, very intelligent and heartfelt music. And so I was raised with the richest music diet possible.
And your father, Joe, had a great ear. Ross, your brother, told me he
Yes,
was
he
the
did.
guy, he could really hear everything that
Oh
people.
yeah, he had he very great ear for intonation, and he gave me a lot of tips about singing in the beginning. So he was my first mentor as far as singing and how the technique of singing, because there's a lot of technique to it if you want to last, if you want to keep on singing, until as I have for the last 50 or 60 years. And so too many of us, by 40 or 50 are done. So if you study technique, then you understand the vocal cords and how slim and how delicate they are, and yet powerful. You can maintain them until you die.
And you never strain. I never remember you straining on stage. Your voice was came naturally. It felt very natural to hear for the people in the audience.
You know, it,
You
it
never
part
you were never a belter per se, were you?
No, no, no. I understood the dangers in that, and if I did belt, it was very, very once every so often. But you kind of there's a lot of techniques in master classes that I give about where you place your tongue and how open your mouth is, and your teeth, the part they play, providing you have teeth, and then also how much where you sing from your throat, from your chest, or from your belly. I mean, it makes a big difference in how your vocal cords are affected.
And also, you're something of an athlete. I mean, I know you were a runner for many, many years. I know you had
Yeah.
back problems and lower back problems, but you were a really in really good shape to get up there. Because I remember early in your career, you were all over that stage, and it takes a lot out of you. You were physically in good shape, right?
Yes, yes, and I try to maintain it because I understand, even now, doing these 9 dates we're going to do this fall. I mean, doing 2 hours on stage or just about that. Your cardio has to be good, especially we're doing places like Mexico City, where it's 8,000 feet up.
Yep.
So you really need to maintain that, and it's really, Roy, I'm just one of those kind of guys that I don't like going to a show and seeing an artist I used to like and sort of they're a shadow of themselves.
Oh, I don't want to
Feels
mention
bad.
any names, but there's some very, very famous singers who really can't sing anymore, you know.
I
But
know, and I figured if that day comes, I really won't do it because I do it strictly for the pleasure of seeing fans, touching them, singing, being with the band, and just that feeling of being on stage and able to sing those songs after all these years.
And I got to say, personally, listening to this brand new record, you have never sounded better. Listen, I'm not getting paid for this, folks. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this as a PR thing. I'm telling you, I'm a fan, and you have never sounded better. And it's a powerful album, which we're going to get to in a few seconds. But I want to talk about your story. By the way, I told your brother Ross, I think your story is a Broadway show. I really do. There's so many things that happen, but my favorite couple of stories, maybe we can truncate them a little bit, was you were well, yeah, I know you were signed when you were 15 or 16 RCA, I want to say
17. Yeah.
17. But
Yes.
there was a down period. And the story goes you're in New York City, freezing your ass off, sleeping either under a park bench or in Central Park or something. You
I
had
did.
no food, no money, and you decided that you saw an open building somewhere. Take it from there.
Well, I left Montreal with $60 in my pocket on a Greyhound bus. And so I was lucky enough that my aunt took me in for 2, 3 weeks, and then she kicked me out. She was a very nice person. So I was downtown walking around and didn't know, and I'd spent a couple of nights in Central Park and then another night sleeping.
Sleeping in the park? Actually
Yes,
sleep.
yes.
Wow.
And hugging my guitar, making sure no one took it. I mean, I'd slept in dribs and drabs, but 3 days later, I'm walking in the streets of Manhattan, and this guy comes up to me, says, "You sing? You write?" I said, "Yes." "Are you good?" I said, "I think I am." And he said, "You know what? I just got a hunch about you. Come and see me." So I work at RCA, and so I went to the building, the RCA building, played for him. It turns out that he was the producer of that single Zager and Evans in the year 25,
Oh
20.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So he really felt bad for me. So he says, "You know what? You go stay with my mom." So I stayed with his mom for, for 3 months. But there was a piano down there. So I really wrote a lot of songs that ended up being on the first and second album.
Unbelievable.
And then when I was in New York, of course, I got lucky enough to visit the Columbia Studios and the studio where Simon and Garfunkel did Bridge Over Troubled Water and spoke
Sure.
to their engineer. And they told me all about their techniques and how they captured that sound and so on and so forth. So it was really a year and 3 months living there that was a real life lesson.
I
Really
remember
hard.
though part of that story was you were so desperate to get some cover, physical cover at
Oh,
one
yeah.
point
Well, yeah.
that you went into maybe an unlikely place, that would be a nice way of putting it, right?
Well, that was a place where lots of guys with leather jackets, and that was kind of, very, very, very welcome at first, and then not so welcome.
I love it. But my favorite story, some of your fans have heard it, many have not. I love this story because this is part of the Broadway show as I see it. You were pretty down and out with your brother in Los Angeles, staying at a hotel on near Sunset or on Sunset. I think it was about a $5 a night or $10 a night flea bag.
It
And your
was
debt
a
and your
hotel
debt,
called the Orange Hotel.
the Orange Hotel is I wonder if it still exists,
No,
but
it's not there.
so
Desperate musicians and night walkers.
yeah, well, you slept at night in a church, which I know where the church is that you're talking about. But the story goes, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, you and Joe went to A&M Records and waited on the sidewalk, hoping that Herb Alpert would drive up and you could get him the cassette. Take it from there.
That's sort of downstream of what it was that we had $5 left between Joe and I, and that's it. We had one night left to stay in the hotel, so we had a
Oh,
ticket. We had a ticket back to Montreal. So Joe says we're going. It was the day before Christmas Eve, so it was December 23rd. And Joe said we're leaving tomorrow, and I said I can't leave. And I said, even if I got a panhandle, I said I've got to stay.
what
We had
ambition. What ambition you had. Oh,
we had been there for 4 months. So that morning was 5 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep. I walked along Sunset Boulevard and I forget the name of that church, but I think it's an Episcopalian church. And
yes, it is. It still
oh,
exists too. Yeah.
okay. And the doors were open, lo and behold, at 5 in the morning. And I walked in, and it had been many years, maybe 10, 15 years since I'd been into a church. And it was kind of like in a sense, awesomely quiet, and the boards creaked a little bit, the sound of the echoing footsteps. And I sat down on the pew and I fell asleep. And I fell asleep for 3 hours maybe. And I woke up suddenly. I mean, it was clear as I'm talking to you now what I was supposed to do. So I didn't want to think about it. I just went for it. I ran back to the flea bag and I got my brother up. I said, "Come, we're going somewhere." And he said, "Where we're going, I can't tell you." So I took my guitar, Joe came with me, and we just parked ourselves in front of the Charlie Chaplin Studios, which was the A&M Studios at the
Right.
time.
Right.
Now, for people who don't know, A&M Studios Records was one of the most, coveted labels at the time in the 70s, in the
Right.
60s and 70s. I mean, they had from Police to Cat Stevens to, Carole King to Quincy Jones to the
Carpenters.
they were the level. I mean, Sergio Mendes, Herb himself was on the label also. It was his label, obviously, with Jerry Moss. So I was out there, and the guard comes down from his little tower, and he says, you can't go in these gates." I said, "Of course you can. I know. I understand. This is public property." Well, then I wasn't looking. I was not looking for Herb Alpert or anything like that.
Oh, I see.
Joe said, "What are we doing here?" I said, "I don't really know." And then
Wow.
2 or 3 hours later, I saw a man with jet black hair walking across the parking lot, and lo and behold, it was Herb Alpert. And I said to Joe, I said, "That's what I saw." So I dropped my guitar, ran through the gates, and of course,
Did you see this in the dream when you were in the church? That
yeah,
kind of vision?
yeah, I'm not into the woo-woo stuff, but I mean, unfortunately, I have to say this the way it happened. And that's really what happened. That when I looked at it, I said, "That's what I saw." And
Wow.
so I dropped my guitar, ran through the gates. The guard would unholstered his gun, chased me.
Oh,
And I
God.
grabbed Herb just before the guard, later his name I found out was Johnny, before Johnny grabbed me. And as he was hauling me away, I just looked at Herb, and Herb just put up his hand and said, "Johnny, let him go for a second." He summoned me over. He said, "What do you want?" I said, "Let me just play you a few songs." I come all the way from Montreal, and boy, did he give me a pregnant pause. He just kind of gave me the twice over, and then he just said, "Okay, come back in 30 minutes." And went back, practiced a little bit, then came back to Herb. He put his head down on his desk in his office, listened. He said, "Just keep playing." And I just kept playing, kept playing. And he
Wow.
just lifted up his head and he just said, "Welcome to the family."
Oh, that's like Rocky. It
Yeah,
reminds
I
me of
know.
Rocky or
I
something.
know.
I mean, you were really at your last on your last legs. I mean,
That was
but
it.
we,
I had
we
done everybody in New York. I'd made all the companies. I'd made all the companies in Los Angeles. And it took a guy like Herb, though, but it was not really a beeline, to get to him. It had to be something a little transpersonal.
magical.
Yeah, it was. It
We
really.
have a couple of pictures. I think you validated his opinion because we have a picture of you with Herb in the gold record. I don't know what. No, we could show it right
I
there. It
remember
is.
this. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's from I Just Want to Stop or where that record is, but that was your a gold record. And the look on your face is, I showed you, I told you, right?
Oh,
And
God.
also we have a picture of you and Herb fairly recently. What was that like? I know you're not with the label anymore, but it must have been sentimental to see him.
Yes, of course. I mean, just it brings back such old times, and Herb and I got really close because he produced the first record, and
Wow.
then so we were seeing each other every day, and shared intimate secrets, of what it's like. And I hated to pry, but I would always say, "Well, what was it like, when this guy's in love with you?" Was like number one, and
Yeah.
he just said, I could barely handle it. He was saying it just kind of plays with your head. So don't let these things play with your head. He said they're transient. They come and they go. So there was a lot of advice there, but on the lot, I mean, there's so many interesting things happening. I remember Karen Carpenter was, well, I didn't know it was her, but there was a big set of drums being pushed. And lo and behold, the dolly was Karen Carpenter. And she says, "Hi." I said, "I'm Gino Vannelli." I said, "Herb just signed me." I said, "Can I ask you a question, Karen?" She says, "Yes." I said, "Why are you still doing this?"
Well,
And
she was very hands-on, I guess, huh?
it's exactly what she said. She said, "There's certain things I want to keep doing just to remind me of who I am."
Hey, by the way, one is ancillary part of that story with Herb. Lanny Hall, his wife, had received a death threat fairly
Oh, yeah.
recently, and you running up to him with that guard, he doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know if you have a gun. He
That's
could
what
have
he told
shot
me.
you. He could have
That's what
shot you.
that's what he told me. That he was shocked because he thought it could have been round two.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about songs. I saw an interview with you recently where you said you liken your brain with songs in it like a cement mixer, in that you're always mixing up stuff, you're always trying, and then you're going to spit out maybe 100 ideas, or then cut it down to 50 or 40.
Hmm.
But you said something I thought was great. You said, "I don't write songs to write songs. It has to mean something to me." Explain.
Does. Well, first of all, to finish a song, sometimes, like for instance, on this last album, Stormy River, I wrote it in one afternoon, and then I couldn't finish the last two lines for 2 years.
Wow.
And then it finally came to me. So and there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't think about those two lines, how I was going to sum up the song. And so, the cement mixer, you just throw things in, and then you keep seeing what's coming out, what's coming
Hmm.
out. So if you can't stand the stink, you got to get out of the gym. So I've learned to stand the stink and keep at it and keep at it until the song is right. And so if the song doesn't mean anything to you, the theme or what you're saying or how you're saying it, then you can't stand the stink and you stop. You just say, let it go. But when you say, no, this means too much to me. I want to finish this. This is important to me. Then you're gonna go keep going back at it.
Well, one of the songs on the album, and we're going to talk about a lot of songs on the album, is called "The River Must Flow." River must flow, and I kind of look at that as your creative input. It's got to flow like a river, but
Yeah.
you use the imagery of a river several times on this album. We're going to show a clip of it for the folks, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
I love you. You're the one that I adore. And no man could want you more. It's like a river that flows to the sea. I need you like the desert needs the rain. Let your water cool my flame, just like a river that flows to the sea.
Wow, never sounded better. So
Thank you.
I get this feeling that that whole album, and we'll talk about the sadness part of it later, but that this whole album had to flow like a river. Am I correct?
Well, and I knew that the album would be dedicated to Trisha, because I started writing it about when she got really sick, and I started. There was nothing else for me to write about. So all the songs like Stormy River, The Hero You See in Me, all of them really are really about her or have something to do with her and the struggles she went through and my being by her side. And in a sense, it's uplifting because there was never a moment that we gave up hope. And even when she passed, there was a feeling. I mean, there was, I'll just say this. Trisha was just her belly was full of scars from all the surgeries. And she was just an extraordinarily beautiful woman. So it really beat her up.
Yeah.
And before going to bed each night, I'd kiss her scars to say, they're lovely. Don't worry about it.
Oh boy.
And 6 days, 7 days after she passed, I had to do concerts. I was signed to do concerts. So I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I was in Stockholm a week after she passed.
Got
And
it.
the night before the concert, I was in such terrible shape. Um, but I did fall asleep, but something woke me up. And out of the darkness came Trisha.
Wow.
And I said, I thought you were, and she says, no, I'm alive, she said. And she says, I want you to see something. She lifted her blouse and she says, no scars.
Oh, God. I'm supposed to make people cry. You're making me cry. Look at this.
And
We're going to talk, we will talk more about Trisha in a few moments, but I want to
yeah,
harken back to something
yes,
else.
yes,
I listened to an album that was recorded 23 years ago called Canto.
yeah.
It's the first time I really realized that you're really operatic. You're an operatic singer. You're an operatic pop singer, in my opinion, rock singer. But there's one thing that I saw, and I was talking to your brother Ross about this, a live show that you did in Montreal, and your mom and you danced together. And it
Yeah.
was called The Last Dance. We're going to play a clip from this, and I'm going to talk about the emotion of that. And I'm telling you, folks, this will both break your heart and make you smile at the same time. Watch.
Give me one last dance. Take away my tears. As my breaking heart beats like a drum, I stand before you asking for just one last dance.
I got the goosebumps. I don't know if you do still when you see that. Your mom was, is it Delia? Delia? Delia.
Delia,
And we have a picture of the two of you. She passed away during COVID, I believe.
yes.
How important was she in your life?
Well, my mom was the pillar, she was always there for us, and you only realize it in later years, what it takes to raise three boys and to be there morning, noon, and night, and to be the person checking on your homework, checking on everything, and admonishing you when you hated being admonished. She was 92. And COVID took her immediately. So in a sense, it was a blessing because she was really failing at the end, and so she just went into a coma and slipped away, and she was just really fine. What can I say?
But that moment, and if people have a chance to see the whole thing on YouTube, Last Dance, it may be among my very favorite songs that you've, but it was a different, it was kind of a departure. This could be a Broadway type of song. I know you don't think like that, but I thought this is like a showstopper type of song. And to dance with her and to hear her comment while you danced with her, I never, and there was a famous movie, I Never Danced with My Father. I never danced with my father or my mother.
Yeah.
And I saw that and my tears welled up, you know?
Yeah, I mean, my mother loved music, and she never complained when I was in the basement, playing away on those, beating those skins, day in, day out, practicing my paradiddles and double paradiddles and double stroke rolls and all day, always doing the same rolls. I never went up and she'd say, stop, she'd always say things like, how's it coming?
Yeah, great. A lot of support you had.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna talk more specifically about Trisha because um, it's a great story. You were snowed in at a concert, and it was just happenstance that you were walking down the street and you saw a jewelry store. I believe this is right.
You
And
got it.
she was doing the storefront, I believe. And you saw her and she saw you at the same moment. It's like again, like a movie. Your
Mhm.
eyes locked. But she didn't immediately say, "Let's go out. I'm ready."
Far from it.
Far, far from it. Tell the folks about it. And we're going to roll some pictures of this of her while you tell the story
All right.
of the
Well, my
romance.
friend and I, Pasquale, were walking. He was doing promo with, when I was on the road. And of course, Trisha lifted her head we were walking on Broadway in Portland, and when I saw that face of hers, I mean, when I saw that, it's like my heart stopped. I said, "Oh my God!" But I swear that I know her, but maybe it's just because she's so beautiful. And my friend said, "You go in there, you'll marry her." And and so I walked in, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of her. And so I figured I had to do something. So I bought some jewelry, and I said to myself, I'll buy something for my mom. And so I stood in line, and I brought the jewelry to Trisha, and I said, okay, I want these for my mom. And I was trying to waste time. How many carats are these? Where were they made? And she looked at me like, why do you want to know this? You know? And then I finally got the courage to say, do you want to go out for a cup of coffee tonight? She looked at me, she said, no. And I said, well, I'm only here for a little while. She said, of course I won't. All
Right.
the more reason not to. And I said, oh, I would have been really nice, but I guess I said, you have your reasons. Okay. So I was paying for it, and she gave me the change. It was just in those days, I think it was she gave me a quarter and 3 pennies or something like that. I
Ah,
think the earrings were $11, cheap bastard that I was. And but she gave me the change, and under her palm was a small square piece of paper, and she put the square piece of paper on top of the quarter, and it
oh,
had her number on it. And
oh
she
man.
didn't want to show her stepfather because he eyed me with great suspicion. He was really an old world Hungarian who had escaped, communism and all the thing during 1956. And he hated guys that looked like me at the time. And so Trisha told me I had to say no in front of him.
Unbelievable story. And it's a romance that lasted about half century,
Yeah,
which you think about it these days with so many failed marriages and so many failed
yeah,
relationships. And it was such a solid, beautiful, powerful,
was.
supportive marriage and relationship. I'm going to now show the clip, which is the best song to me on the record, but it's really very emotional, very poignant. It's called Stormy River. This is the dedication to Trisha.
My life is like a stormy river rushing to the endless sea, to the open arms I come home to. Love that waits for me. The days go by like troubled waters, searching for serenity. My heart and my soul forever bound to the love that waits for me.
Boy, you talk because I can't.
I,
My
I,
life is like a stormy river rushing to the endless sea, to the open arms I come home to, the love that waits for me. The days go by like troubled waters, searching for serenity. My heart and my soul forever bound to the love that waits for me. You believe she's still waiting for you.
I do. Let me tell you a funny story before I get too emotional myself.
Okay.
Trisha would ask me, so anything happen, on the road? I mean, any strange ladies want some strange things from you? Well, let me tell you the story. I said, what it's really like these days. So I was living in the Netherlands for a little while, playing with big bands and whatnot. And I came home and I told her the story. I said, so I'm playing with this guy, I pretend you're Trisha. I'm playing with this guy called Michiel. And Michiel is a Dutchman. And he asked me this question, Gino, what was it like being you in the 1970s? Hmm. I said, why do you want to know? He said, well, he was kind of a frilly guy. He had, frou-frou stuff on. collars. He could really considered himself a ladies' man. So he wanted to know all the dirty details of being Gino Vannelli during the 1970s. So
Mhm.
suddenly, this very attractive blonde is coming my way with a piece of paper. And I said to Mikhail, I said, "You're about to find out what my life was like in the 1970s." So she comes up to me, a beautiful girl, maybe in late 20s, early 30s, and she says, "Oh, Mr. Vanelli." I said, "No, no, just call me Gino." She said, "Oh, she's, the house is full of your music," and on and on and on. I looked at Mikhail. I said, "Are you getting this?" And he's kind of just grinning. And she says, "We love you so much. My mother wants your autograph."
It's better than my grandpa remembers you as a sportscaster. I hear that too.
So
Um,
Trisha got a kick out of that one.
I think so. It's such a powerful record. I really love this, Gino. And
Thank you.
I've been a fan for 50 years, but this is the most, I think it's the most important record you've ever had. You've had a lot of big
Thank you.
records, but
Thank
I
you for
really
saying that.
believe that. Um, and it's the most personal. Of
It
all the
is.
records, it's the most
It
personal.
is. It
Yeah.
is. Well,
I
we're about to embark on our tour, so I'm looking forward to playing with the guys. Actually, we got rehearsals tomorrow, and we next week we go off to Detroit and Chicago to start off
And
this.
I also want to continue to mention that a week from today, you are being honored the Canadian Songwriter Hall of Fame, which you're going to Toronto for.
Yeah.
So it's just I know how much you would have loved to have Trisha there in any case for anything, but that would have been really a big moment of pride for her too.
Yes, I mean she was by my side for 50 years through all this, and she was another. I mean, she was the daily pillar. I mean, she was one of the beautiful combination of being dreamy-eyed and yet being very logical,
Mm.
and I mean, really, really smart.
She would be so proud. I know how hard it was for you to even hear that song for a long
It
time.
is.
But
It is.
I think you're better now. I know that your grief
I am.
it's still there, but
Yeah.
it's getting better, right?
It is getting better, and the time does. I mean, you walk around with a nail in your head, but you get used to the nail.
Hmm. Okay, final thoughts. We're going to lighten it up a little bit too,
Yeah.
because I do a thing called lightning round. I used to
Yeah.
do this on my sports show.
Yes.
Give me a line or two of the following things. First of all, the hair years, because that was your signature. We have pictures of you with that incredible mane, which was, I think it was your trademark.
Yeah.
It was always there. Every time you see the show, Gino's hair would be as big as he was. The hair was, do you agree, was kind of your signature?
Well, it didn't start off that way. I mean, it just, when I was a young child, I just hated, my father became a barber.
Yes.
He
And then he
owned,
opened like seven barbershop or
yes, he
salon.
had five. He had five barbershops. And
Wow.
so he was quite a businessman. And he used to tell me, "Do not come around my barbershop unless you're looking, like your hair is spruced up." So he would cut my hair and it would always hurt me. So I would always say, "Dad, can I?" When the Beatles came out, I said, "Maybe we can do a haircut now every 2 months instead of every month." And he reluctantly said yes. So it started off with me just hating to have my hair cut because I never knew that my hair could grow out like that. And so when I was 16, 17, I started growing it out a little bit. I said, "Look at that. Look what it does." I just said,
But it really became a signature. It really
I
was a
guess.
trademark. You
I
know,
guess.
do you miss the hair like that at all?
No, 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 no. We're different, now. I mean,
Of course. I
you
saw
can't
you
hang
Santa
on.
Monica Civic once. The hair was like, I think the hair arrived earlier than you did. That's how
Yeah.
big it was.
And
Uh,
left after.
I want to talk about these are one-liners then. So here we go. The song I wish I wrote.
Well, I mean, there's a few of them. I mean, "I'll Love You Just the Way You Are" is a fine, fine commercial song.
Paul McCartney said the same thing. He wishes he wrote that song.
Yeah, I mean, because we like to combine art with commerce, and that's the perfect combination of art and commerce.
Hmm. The greatest inspiration, I know you're going to say personally, but first professionally, the greatest inspiration for you.
Um, various artists, being a drummer at the Casa Loma, seeing various artists, including Jude Krupa, and then later on Buddy Rich and Stan Kenton and Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, they all were such a benchmark that to become a singer and to become a writer and an arranger, producer, that was the sound I remembered. And it took a lifetime to even approach it.
And personally, the greatest inspiration had to be Trisha, right?
Yeah, I mean, being with meeting, I mean, you know, when I invited her to come to Los Angeles, I was gonna, it was Friday, she was supposed to come in, and I realized I didn't drive. I'm from Montreal, nobody drives, at least in those days.
Hmm.
And so I took my driver's test on Thursday to go pick her up on Friday.
Ah, wow.
And so I rented the worst car you could try to, impress a woman with. And that was an orange hatchback Hornet, the ugliest piece of shit you've ever seen.
Right.
So when I met her at the airport, we were walking in the parking lot and we're going towards the orange Hornet, and she kept walking the other way, like, "Please don't tell me that's your car." And on top of that, it was a stick shift.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
And so we were on 405 going back, to where we lived, where I lived in West Hollywood. And I was just, you know, stop and go all the way. And the embarrassing moment, which ended up being me knowing how great a woman she was, she says, "Let me drive."
Love it. All right, one-liners or maybe a line and a half. The
Okay.
road. The road.
I'm glad I don't have to do it as often.
The music.
It just won't stop
The business of music.
changing
For the better?
as you like it.
Do you think that's ever going to be what it was again?
No, no. It's just like the time before the talkies. No.
Hmm. The ambition.
It morphs into a cleaner desire.
Hmm. The struggle.
Always will be there. Get used to it
Hmm. The triumph.
if you're lucky.
What was your triumph, do you think? Professionally.
Professionally, I never had a triumph that I felt I had. My triumph was when I started looking at myself, my career a little bit differently.
Yeah. You studied many, many different religions, everything from Buddhism to Judaism to Catholicism. What have you come away with all the studies that you've made about faith?
Well, it's important to have a good working knowledge. I think of the way. I mean, religion is basically, if you study religion, it goes all the way back to 4 and 5,000 years old, maybe farther, including paganism and all that. You're not really studying religion. You're studying how human beings think, what
Mhm.
prompts us, what inspires us, and what is most fearful to us. So that's the real study of religion, is really studying the philosophy and how what inspires and what sets our watches. And
Mhm.
if you study deeply and look deeply into religion, you'll study into the nature. You'll have a study into the nature of man.
Mhm.
And that's what gave me a little bit more self-knowledge and ability to be able to take things a little bit more in stride and let things go. And then comes the part where enough studying, enough academia. Now you have to start experiencing it. You could read all you want about ice cream, but until you taste it, you don't know what it is.
Nicely said. And the heartbreak, the heartbreak making you stronger and weakening you almost simultaneously.
Well, I think it was Nietzsche that said that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so you try not to be killed. And so part of it is knowing how to take the punches. And for an artist, it's like being told you're no good, or you should quit, or you'll never get anywhere, or one defeat after another. And knowing how to take it in stride and how to get back up on your feet and learn from it and keep going.
Beautifully said. The last one,
Mhm.
the life I got.
Well, I'm grateful. And I wasn't always that way.
What changed you?
Well, the last 10 years, 15 years, but then the last 5 years were everything so came sharply into focus. We all imagine those things that we see every day will be there forever,
Mm.
but they're just not there forever. And when we lose them, we lose part of ourselves. And so to know, I mean, the Buddha said all life is sacred. You don't really know what that means until it's taken away from you.
Hmm.
And so it is sacred. Means it should mean a lot to you. There's purpose to it. You're growing, you're learning. You're learning something about something that is so much larger than we are. Just get a sneak preview. Try, and you'll be amazed.
You still have a hole in your heart. What's going to fill that hole?
Nothing. Nothing will ever fill that hole. I got to work around it. In a sense, it's the eye of the hurricane because it reminds me of my own mortality, and um, I mean, I had a special relationship, and that loss was a heavy loss, and it still is. But the grateful part of it is that I had what very few people have had in their lives.
Right.
So I got to keep reminding myself of that.
Gino, it's been 40 years since I wanted to do this interview. It's never too late to have this is a personal dream come true for me. Truly. I really, truly mean that. I've
I
always,
watched it so often. I mean, I saw that bit you did on Ray Romano's show.
yeah,
It was,
everybody loves Raymond. Hey, can I tell you a quick story? I didn't know who Ray Romano was when I did the shoot. It was the
oh,
first year.
really?
And he
Really?
came up to me and he goes, Roy, I'm Ray. I said, what do you do on the show, Ray? I swear to God. True story. True story.
Yeah.
Hey, Gino, thank you for your time. The Saban Theater, this is for the folks in LA who will see it on, is October 30th. I'm looking forward to seeing you that night. I saw you in the last one 11 years ago at the Saban. Unbelievable show.
Come backstage. Yeah.
I will. I will. Gino, it's a great pleasure to see you and speak to you. Thank you for your time and best of luck. Feel better down the road. It's going to take many, many years to get over all what you've been through, but I think you're going to come out just fine. I really do.
Thanks, Roy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Nowhere to go but up. Get on up to where the angels sing. When you run out the road, heaven knows love is a beautiful thing. Have my fill of crying blues. Gonna shift down to the good news.